All right, and good morning, pro traders. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, depending on, of course, where you're joining us from in the world. This is, of course, your host, Christopher Guzman, joining you live for another Kickstart Pro morning session. Today is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Today is Wednesday, the 10th of June, 2020. Before we get started, you know the drill, folks. Let's go ahead and do a quick audio-visual check. If you can hear my voice and see the screen without issue, please do let me know with a Y or a yes in your chat box so that we can begin. All right, everybody, let's try that again. I haven't had any responses yet, so if you can hear my voice and see the screen without issue, please let me know with a Y or a yes in the chat box so that we can begin. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Good morning, Robin. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, my friend. Good morning, John. Morning, Bobby. Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, just before going live on air here, I was just giving Euro NZD a little bit of an update. So, I'll kind of pick up right where I had left off there. Just for the sake of finishing the update to the analysis here. So first of all, I'm tracking two levels here. First of all, this level of resistance, which has proven to be a pretty clear level of resistance at 181.53. You can see, all the times that the market came up to test, and all the times that price was rejected. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate distinctive occasions at that level where that happened and the market was pushed down in a significant way. Beyond that, the next significant level is 185.60. That, of course, is our unfulfilled 38.2%. On this Euro NZD, we're currently dealing with a down capital AB boundary. Down capital AB boundary as a result, of course, of the King's Crown formation that we saw here. So, this is a bear crown. So basically, what I'm essentially looking at medium to longer term here is the formation of the right tip of the crown, right? So you have left tip, center tip, looking for the formation of the right tip of the crown, and I anticipate that could be even further than the unfulfilled 38.2, but I'm looking at, a minimum potentially of that unfulfilled 38.2%. Now, the other thing I've updated here is this downtrend line. I've put this downtrend line in because obviously, we have a new lower low. So now, this is my high to go off of. Now, as I do that, okay, I get an inner downtrend line. So you can see the inner downtrend line, which has been broken, tested, and upon the test, that has held as support. So a couple of things here as we drill down to get a clearer sense of shorter term moves here. As we drill down, first of all, I want to go in with my sub-fibs, right? I want to find out where the sub-fibs are. But second, I want to be mindful of the fact that I've got support right here. I've got a pretty good amount of support. So even though the market's broken into the sell zone, even though it's acting off of an existing sell, I mean, technically that sell started happening way back here, to be fair, right? So technically this is still acting off of an existing sell, but I'm at least for the moment more inclined toward a buy here. In other words, I'd welcome a buy more than I would the sell because I think the sell move is over. But like I said, let's go ahead and put in some subfibs here. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and find my starting point, which in this particular case looks like, let's have a look here. Right, so to be completely sure, I'm going to go ahead and start from here and just work it out. Okay, so basically I'm just showing my work, right? Essentially. Okay, AB 786 127, there it is. Okay, 236 2.618, there it is. This is why I want to come in here and just do this quickly, because obviously once I do, I can see a much more accurate picture. So now I can see that reversal point was right there, okay, which means my first sub crown gives me a sub AB boundary right here, sub A and sub B. 96, no, so it's this low right here. Just get it a bit closer and fix that. There we are. Okay, then we get, what do we get? A reversal. That's what we get. We get a second reversal, and then we get a third reversal. So what we actually ended up getting here was a false subcrown, with this being the new sub A, that being the new sub B. Realistically, this is my new down sub from right here, sub A. And I'll go ahead and fix that in a minute. I'm going to have to. Down to, of course, sub B. Okay, and so I just want to grab that and fix it. Okay, perfect. Right. And then that, of course, brings us to current market. Okay, so what is this looking like? Well, essentially what this means is, of course, we're operating off of, a current down sub, so a current sub bear crown, right? Which does not support, of course, a move back to that unfulfilled 38.2. In fact, quite the opposite. This is essentially calling for a move further down. But there is one caveat here. Okay, there is one caveat. And the caveat is, of course, the fact that we now also have an unfulfilled 38.2, sub 38.2% to the upside there as well. Okay, and I'm just coming back in here. I just want to clean this up a little bit. It's just a lot going on these charts. Okay. So just like with the capitals, I mean, we saw something very similar with the capitals, to where, we had a crown turned out pretty quickly to be a false crown, and so this is what we're left with. And then I'm just going to clean up these extra fibs now here that are no longer needed. Okay, so this is what we're left with. So we have two unfulfilled 38.2% targets, both of them, of course, obviously to the upside, which of course means upside opportunity. And at the moment, being that we've broken that innermost downtrend line, chances are we make it. We start making our way toward that secondary downtrend line. Okay, so long story short here, I'm bullish on this at least I'm more favoring toward the bulls on this. I think the bulls have a more upward opportunity than the bears do down. Okay. But in terms of the signal, there's not actually an actionable signal at the moment. Okay, and so I just want to go ahead and label this real quick as well, just so I always know what it is I'm looking at. At 199.27. This is of course, my capital down a boundary. And then I've also got my capital down B boundary is at 177.15. So I'm going to go ahead and put a line in there as well. 177.153 to be exact. And this is, of course, my capital down B boundary. Okay, perfect. So that's now all in place. And now the final thing I want to do here is just go ahead and plot that unfulfilled sub 38.2, which is 178.305. 178.305. And this is an unfulfilled sub 38.2% there. Okay, perfect. So now this is totally updated. And like I say, we have a sell signal currently. I'm not interested, though. I'm certainly more interested in a buy signal. So I'll be waiting for buy signals. Okay, so that's Euro NZD. Right. I just wanted to finish that. I just wanted to kind of start off by finishing that because I didn't want to leave it where it was. Okay, but that's done now. So let's have a quick look around here. Euro US dollar looks pretty interesting. I'm going to take a look at that momentarily. Before I do, I just want to have a quick look at all the pound crosses here, just see what, if anything, is happening on the pound crosses. Okay, pound dollar moving similar to its euro counterpart. Pound Swiss acting off of support, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so Euro USD is where I want to go next, based on what I'm seeing here. So let me go ahead and open this up. And let's get a quick update going in terms of where we are currently. Right. So, of course, my subs are up. My capitals are down. And at the moment, I've got a maximum 78.6% retracement up at 113.83. Now, you can see this innermost uptrend line here has been broken. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. So this has been broken. And you can see as a result, right, market broke, then tested. The trend line held as resistance, came back again, attempted to break up again. Ultimately, though, came back to this side of it where it is still held as resistance. Now that we're back on the right side of this thing, though, this is once again support. Okay. So, as we learned in the Ultimate Forex Trading course, this was support, 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 became resistance, right? Resistance, resistance, resistance. Now it's support again. right? Because past support becomes future resistance, which becomes future support again once the market breaks back above. Now, this is still a valid trend line because that right there is my highest point, my highest high. And so this is still technically a valid trend line, though broken, still valid, which means, of course, that, you know, that is confirmed. That is a level of support. Now, in terms of the subs, right, we see our subs here. We see we've got an unfulfilled sub, 38.2% down at 10990. I mean, I'm ultimately bullish on this longer term anyway. I have been for some time, and you know, been kind of tracking this as this has continued to rise. But I mean, in terms of new opportunity, right? So that, you know, there is an existing buy signal here. My only concern is, of course, there's resistance by way of that 786 retracement, that maximum 786 retracement. And then, of course, beyond that, I've got the capital A boundary, though, you know, there is plenty of room between where we are currently and that capital A boundary, okay? So in terms of the actual signal, the new signal that's occurred, see, because the other thing here, the other thing that concerns me here is that as I look at this, the signal actually has occurred. Well, actually, no, you know what? You tell me. You tell me. What else am I concerned with here? What else has given me pause about this current signal? Because, I mean, it's obviously a buy signal on the MACD. There's obviously a buy signal there. So why would I be paused here? What has given me pause? Go ahead and put it in your chat box. Okay, couple of good guesses coming through. Richard says T3 cross. Bobby says previous high. John says support. Yeah, I mean all fair attempts. The correct answer is because we're in the sell zone, right? So out in the field, that's not true. Out in the field, we're actually in the buy zone. But down here on this MACD, I've got a buy signal in the sell zone, which is obviously a problem, isn't it? Right? So we've got a buy signal in the sell zone. Now, that's not enough, you know, certainly under normal circumstances, that's not enough to, you know, completely deter me from a trade. But there are other factors here that are also giving me pause, like the ones I said, right? We have this high of resistance right here. It's the maximum 78.6% retracement, right? So we've got that level of resistance to contend with. We've also got the fact that, you know, we are in a down capital AB boundary here. And it takes a lot for an A to get taken out. Now, obviously, of course, it does happen, sure, but it does take a lot for that for the market to actually get there. Okay. Plus, you know, if you look at just price action, if you just look at the behavior of the market right now as we're talking about this, then you know you're seeing the slowdown, right? You're seeing that. This hasn't really got a lot of momentum here. The bulls are really trying, but this move hasn't really got a whole lot of momentum here. And already after scoring this first goal, already we're looking at a potential pullback here. So I'm certainly more bullish on this than I am bearish in terms of longer term. But in the short term, even though there's a buy signal here, I'm not convinced as to, you know, just how much room there is for a buy, for taking a buy, especially on such a short, you know, over such a short time period. Right. So Richard, it's because of the MACD. Okay. So because there are some students in here who, or because there are some folks in here who are students and some who are not students, I can't, go specifically into, the strategy. It wouldn't be fair. But what I can do is I'm going to point you to your course notes, Richard, and the ones I sent you, and pay special attention to the MACD in particular. Okay, that's what I want to. That's okay. Right. So euro US dollar, like say, currently a buy signal, though I'm not convinced. Okay. So now I want to have a look elsewhere. I'm just deciding now where to go next. I want to see if there's any actionable opportunity to be had here. So far, all seems relatively quiet. So far, all seems relatively quiet. I mean, there's plenty we can talk about. There's plenty of things going on here. I'll tell you what, starting with pound Swiss. Can I just say, first of all, right? Look at the importance of knowing your support and resistance levels, all of them, right? Take a look. We've been tracking this for a little while now. We've been monitoring support by way of the backside of this broken down trend line here. We've been monitoring support by way of the top of this upward channel, what was previously an upward channel. And we've been tracking support by way of this uptrend line as well. All right. And take a look at that. Right. So two things. First of all the support we've been tracking there. I mean, what a beauty. What a beauty. It's following support absolutely perfectly. We're calling these support levels absolutely spot on. Really, really good, right? Really good. We're also calling resistance spot on, as this was previously resistance. Okay, you can see the market broke through, came back for the test, that held, pushed this down right into all of this nest of support. And you can see how difficult it's been for the bears to break through all of this. And so we're kind of just, still hanging out on this side of it. Okay. Now, before I continue, for those of you who are students of the Ultimate Forex Trading course in here with me, is this innermost trend line, and I'm going to move on to other elements of the analysis, but I want you to answer that question for me. I want you to riddle me this, okay? Is this innermost trend line here still valid? Is it still correct? Go ahead and put it in your chat box. Let me know. And while you do, I'm going to start updating, like I said, other elements of the analysis here. Okay. Right. 122.45 is that 69.4%. So I just want to see where this falls. Previously, we had a maximum 61.8%. So the question is that still the case? And I don't believe it is. No, it is not. 122.45 was that 69.4%, and this came back to 122.59. So very clearly a maximum 69.4%. So we're going to have to go ahead and update this as well. So maximum 69.4%. Update the color there as well. which means, of course, that my target is ultimately going to be down there at that 144, right, which is at 111.99. So to be perfectly exact, it's 111.994, last digit 4. Okay, and this is my anticipated 144. All of these other lines in here, I want to go ahead and clean this up. Okay, it's getting to be a little bit on the messy side again. So I'm just going to clean up. Okay. And of course, I want to just go ahead and label this stuff up here as well, just so I know what it is I'm looking at all times. All right, so 25272. Let me see what that value was. 25272. Okay, and this is my down capital boundary. Okay, then this here is my down capital B boundary, the value of 116.051, so 116051. Okay. Robin, and so I shall, my friend, and so I shall. Robin says clearly you need to give us all another lesson on trendline validity. Yes, maybe in this Friday class this week, maybe we can cover that. Right. Okay, so maximum 69.4% down capital AB boundary, maximum 69.4%. Anticipated 144, therefore, is down at 111.99, thereabouts. The subs are up, and I've got an unfulfilled sub 38.2% down at 116.46. But obviously, with all of this support in the way, that's going to be difficult for the market to achieve. And then that brings me back to this innermost trend line, which is no longer valid. No longer valid. Who had no longer valid? Who put their money on no longer valid? Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so Robin, you're correct and on the right track, but wrong in the reason why you're correct. Right? So you're correct, but the reason why you're correct is wrong. If that makes sense. Right? So this is no longer a valid trend line. The reason being, the market has created a new higher high, okay? Because remember, we're connecting, the whole goal is to connect all of the lows in an uptrend, all of the lows that come before the highest high in the move. That's the goal. Well, in this particular case, we were very clearly going off of this as the highest high in the move. This hadn't happened yet, okay? But now that this has happened, you can see this is no longer a valid trend line, right? The market has made a new higher high, which means I've got new lows that need to be connected that precede that higher high. Okay. And in particular, this one right here. So I'm then going to change this to a solid line just so I can see it properly here. Even though we know, okay, so we know this is now broken again, right? So this is now the valid trend line. This is where it goes. But of course, it is still broken because we had a break here where the market fell back to support, and then at support, it looks like it's finding that support, and it looks like the market's going to attempt to come back up to test resistance again. Now, obviously, being that, you know, we've broken this and we're at the backside of this now, the backside of this trend line, of course, is going to act as resistance, right? Or at least, you know, at the very least, we're certainly going to treat it as though it already is a level of resistance. That's how I'm going to look at this, right? As in, you know, already is a level of resistance without any doubt, without any shadow of a doubt, right? I'm already treating that this way, this level, okay? So fresh level of resistance there, and this is now a correctly drawn trend line. So, you know, we do have a buy signal here. I actually had a buy signal way back here. This is an existing buy signal. And if I look at that original signal where that's occurred, I'm just curious to see where we are in relation to that. And I'm curious to see what actually triggered it. Okay, so it looks as though, let's have a look here. Looks as though it's right off of this engulfing bull right here. So if that's the case, because there's the cross out in the field, there it is down on the MACD, everything's solidified with that candle. So I'm fairly certain this is the signal candle, which means this signal hit at 11:30. What's that? Yesterday? Yesterday morning? Yeah, 11:30 yesterday morning. And it's been a buy signal ever since on this pound Swiss. I'm going to drop this 10 pips. And I'm going to raise this 10 pips up to 82. And when I do, I can see I've got 34 pips in risk, which means I should be going after 51 in reward. So on 120.82, that's going to put me at 121.33. 121.33 is round about there. Okay, so let's see where we are in relation to this signal. And I mean, as you can see, look at that. We're almost there. We're almost there. This was a signal that triggered yesterday morning. And so far, because of all the support that's there, because of all the support that we knew was there, that we've known has been there, right? That we've been tracking, all of that support has held this and has pushed this, has kept the signal, you know, to what it was originally. And you can see we're very near that target. In fact, I'm about 9 pips off of that target, which of course means that the buy signal, there's not much further room, right? Yeah, exactly, Bobby. Bobby says, but we can use that trend line as a possible future resistance, right? Yeah, exactly. So, you know, this where I have it marked in red, I have the red going over the broken trend line to show that, you know, we are in fact anticipating this to be a level of resistance. But I also think this move is already likely over. I don't think there's much. I think there's room for that target to get hit, and then I think that's pretty much it. Okay. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on this. Okay, but that is pound Swiss, everybody. That is pound Swiss. Let's go ahead and look elsewhere. Okay, now in the case of pound Aussie, I've been tracking this for a little while, and I said right in this region, right in this region, in this, where you see this green rectangle that I placed here, right in this region, this is my buy zone, right? I said this is my buy zone. I'm going to be looking for potential buying opportunities. Reason being, number one, I've got room back to that unfulfilled sub 38.2% up at 184.65. Reason number two is that I have an unfulfilled capital 38.2% all the way to the upside, all the way up at 198.59. Now, does that mean, you know, because I said that, does that mean that I'm targeting 198.59 and, you know, any trade I take this morning, I'm going to target no, of course not. Obviously not, right? Obviously not. I'm just talking about projections here, right? Based on the technical analysis. So, you know, long term, unfulfilled capital 38.2% up there at 198.59. Shorter term, I've got an unfulfilled sub 38.2, same thing, right, at 184.65. The market came into this buy zone, what I said would be a buy zone, okay? It fulfilled the previous sub D, which was a sub 2.618, fulfilled that, gave us a new down sub AB boundary, which of course gave us the new unfulfilled sub 38.2% to target. And so as the market came down into this region, you can see the bears lost all momentum. And then right at that B low, I mean, look at how strong the level of support this ended up becoming right here at the B low, right? You can see it to where the market tested once, twice, and in both instances rallied again, okay? Now, one of the things I want to do in here is I want to now come in with a trend line, right? Because obviously we have this upward move here. And so I want to track the trend of this upward move. So let's go ahead and do that, starting from the lowest point of the move. Whoops. Let's try that again. Starting from the lowest point of the move. Okay, and then stretching it out. So there's one. And then in terms of the innermost trend line, I believe this is 2. Hold on, I'm going to verify that. Okay, it's not because I need to move that low, but I just want to see that that is, in fact, the higher of the 2 highs, and it is. Okay, and so now that's my innermost. So essentially, okay, we have a situation where market breaks out of not only this range here, but starts to break out of the buy zone, and it is breaking out of the buy zone to the north. So, you know, it looks good, it looks promising, but then we have a situation to where the market comes back to test the innermost trend line here, and then because we're at that level of resistance right there, not only did it test the trend line, it broke it, right? It broke it. And so we've got ourselves, of course, a new level of resistance, right? Now, in terms of actual signal here, it's actually been a sell signal since back here, okay? And you can see how sideways the market has actually been. And right at this level of support, you can see how support is still holding. You see this long wick to the downside here indicates plenty of price rejection. You know, as the bears are trying to push this down, bulls aren't having any of it at this level, and at this level they're rallying and fighting the bears off, pushing this back up again, okay? And so you can see this is almost like a non-starter at this level, right? It's a pretty solid level of support. I would not be looking for a selling opportunity right when we're, you know, right at a level of support like that. Now, in terms of price action, right, again, you know, we're very sideways here. We're very sideways. It looks as though the market's also created another little range. And so, you know, it looks like Pound Aussie is just kind of creating ranges inside of ranges. And in terms of this range, we're at support. Down on the MACD, we're in the buy zone. So if anything, you know, plus in terms of the actual candlesticks, I've got a bullish Harami there. So if anything, you know, I would be looking potentially for a buy back up to resistance in this little range. Or alternatively, I could be looking for a sell back down to support. The problem is that as long as we are where we are currently, okay, it's literally 50-50 as to which way this can go, right? It's literally 50-50 because of the fact that there's solid support right there. But then again, you know, we are in the sell zone out in the field. We have broken that first trend line. Market likes to make its way to the secondary trend line. So I think, you know, the long story short here is that there's not actionable opportunity for me to take action on now, as in right now. However, I think, you know, if this low gets taken out, what I'm going to be looking for here is for the low to get taken out, and then if and when that does actually happen, okay, what I'd then like to see is for the test to happen. And then with that test, I can then come in for another counter trend line break. And when I do, okay, when I do come in with the counter trend line break, right, essentially that would be my entry. Right, and it'll give me a better entry opportunity as well, because the new high that would have been created in the process here, you know, I can use that for some extra wiggle room in terms of stop loss placement, right? If I'm using a counter trend line break strategy. Obviously, if I'm just using strategy 7, that's a different story. But for any of my other strategies, this allows for a better entry opportunity because of the risk, assuming, of course, that this actually happens. But this is what I'm going to be looking for. This is what it would take for me to actually take a sell signal here, okay, rather than a buy. Alternatively, if a buy signal occurs, then I'm all for it. I'm certainly not opposed to taking a buy signal back up to resistance, right? Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. Now, I want to take a look next at pound dollar. Before I do, though, I just want to have a quick look over here, just very quickly. Okay. Yeah, so I want to take a look at pound dollar next. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, obviously, is clean up a little bit. Right, time to tidy up. And in this case, I mean, what we have going on here, right? So we have a down capital AB boundary. We have a sub-bull crown that's been pushing this thing further bullish without a sub 38.2 fulfillment for some time now. So there's been a lot of momentum behind the bulls here, certainly. Okay. Sorry, I just want to come in and clean this up a bit because this is just too much on the charts again. Okay, perfect. Down capital boundary, right. So here's the subs. Here's the unfulfilled sub 38.2%, which means that target is actually the 2.618, and it's located at price point 129,784. 129,784. Okay, and this is my anticipated sub 2.618. Okay. And so now, okay, so just wanted to see as well, because I'm going to have to update that maximum 86%. It's now higher, but it is still an 86% technically. I think this is going to reverse altogether. I mean, I'm bullish on pound dollar anyway. Daily time frame has an unfulfilled 38.2%. I've been tracking for a while now at this point. Okay. Let's see here. So I think you know, I've got a bit of a bullish bias here anyway, just going into this. But I think at this point, there is a possibility. Of course, you know, we use our smaller time frames as early warning systems, right? Now, in this particular case, this was the deepest point of retracement. This is now the deepest point of retracement. And no, it is not an official high, but it doesn't have to be. Remember, C is not necessarily an official high or low, right? But we can see we're getting very deep there. I reckon this is likely going to turn into a crown, into a capital King's crown on the 15th, bull crown, which means that's going to open up the floodgates for downside opportunity in the short term for an unfulfilled 38.2. But then ultimately, I do think the pound dollar is going to start to at least attempt to make its way toward its longer term targets on the larger time frames. Okay. And then with regard to this innermost trend line here, just verifying this is still accurate. It is still accurate, but not for much longer, right? Once this becomes an official high, then I need to update that trend line. But for now, until a new official high actually does form, this is still accurate as is. Okay. Well, not much going on this morning, folks. Market's a little bit quiet. Not really all that much going on. But hey, you know, that's okay. You have days like that, don't you? You have days like that, and it is what it is. It's just as important knowing when not to do anything as it is knowing when to get in, right? Just as important. As, you know, it's just as important knowing when to sit on the sidelines as well, as it is knowing when to get in. Let's take a look at the dollar pairs here quickly. Yeah. Just very, very slow. Very, very slow morning. But, I mean, you know, it's okay. Slow is okay. We take the slow mornings as learning opportunities, right? The fact the good mornings with the good volatility, those are the trading opportunity mornings. The slower mornings where things are a bit quieter, those are the learning opportunity mornings, right? And that's one of the things I also teach in the course, in the Ultimate Forex Trading course, is that, you know, whether you win on the trade or you lose on the trade, it doesn't matter, right? You know, if you win on the trade, you've won pips. If you lose on the trade, what you've won is not pips. What you've won is experience. Either way, though, you know, if you utilize that experience correctly and you learn from that experience, then both are, you know, equally as valuable. Okay. Right. With that, everybody, that about does it for us this morning. Here, there you go on Pound Aussie, by the way. Just saying, remember I said, right at support. I've been looking to buy back to resistance. Just saying. All right, everybody. And with that, it's been a wonderful session. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry the markets are slow. No control over that. But I hope you enjoyed the session just the same. And you learn something from it. All right. And so with that, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I will be back with you again, of course, Friday morning, same place, same time. Until then, folks, you know the drill. To your health, wealth, and happiness always. Stay safe out there, guys. This is Christopher Guzman signing out and saying good day. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.